In the following video, I will answer the AQA Unit 2 Higher GCSE Maths Practice Paper 4. Okay, let's start straight away. 8/9 subtract 1/6. The units aren't the same, we need to make them the same. Or you could think of it, if adding or subtracting fractions is your aim, make the denominators the same. What do 9 and 16 go into? What's the lowest common multiple of 9 and 16? Well, it's 18. And you're doing a subtraction. What have I done to the 9 to get 18? I've doubled it, so double the 8 to get 16. What have I done to the 6 to get 18? I've tripled it, so triple the top and you get 3. 16/18 subtract 3/18 is simply 13/18. So the answer is 13/18. Question 2. Manash has 100 millilitres of orange juice. So he starts off with 100 millilitres of orange juice in the glass. During the next 12 seconds, from 0 to 12 seconds, he does the following. He adds some lemonade at a constant rate here. He then seems to pause for a little, and then he drinks from the glass, finishing out at a higher amount of liquid in the glass than he originally started. Let's look at the question. When the glass is full, what's the ratio of orange juice to lemonade? So we're looking when the glass is full. When it's full, he still has 100 millilitres of orange juice. And how much lemonade does he have? Well, he has 100 to 300 is 200. The difference is 200. And that simplifies to 1 to 2. So the answer for that is 1 to 2, giving your answer in its simplest form. What percentages of the drink is left after 12 seconds? Well, after 12 seconds, he's got each of these here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for every 100 millilitres. So these must be divisions of 20. That must be 120, 140, 160, 180. So after 12 seconds, he's got 120 millilitres. So left, he's got 120. What did he have of the full drink? So full drink was 300. So 120 over 300, to work out a percentage, then you multiply by 100. Well, you could cancel the zeros here. 12 out of 30, 12 out of 30, you could simplify that by dividing top and bottom by 3. You would get 4 out of 10, and 4 out of 10 times 100 gives you 40%. So what percentage of the drink is left? 40% of the drink. Okay, next question. Question 3. Market trader buys 100 scarves at £2.50 each and 200 hats at £4 each. He wants to sell them all and make a 20% profit. He sells all the scarves at £3.25 each and 150 of the hats at £5 each. He can reduce the price of the remaining hats and still make a 20% profit. Work out the reduced price of the hats. Okay, firstly, to get profit, remember that profit is your sales, how much you earn in money, subtract your costs. So let's work out each of these. Cost of, let's say, scarves. First of all, cost of scarves. Okay, it's 100 times £2.50, okay, which is equal to £250. That's how much he pays for his scarves. And the cost of his hats, well, he buys 200 hats at £4, so that will give him £800 cost. So in total then, his total costs are equal to £1,050, adding them up. Now, if he wanted to make a 20% profit, let's work out what 20% of his cost is. 20% of 1,050. Well, 10% is 105, so 20% must be double that, which is 210. So £210 would be 20% profit. So he needs to make sales of 1,050 plus the profit he wants of 210, so he needs to make sales of £1,260 if he is to make his 20% profit. Okay, let's work out what actual sales he did. So sales of scarves. Well, he sells all the scarves, so that's 100 scarves at £3.25. So he makes £325. Okay, and he sells 150. So sales of the hats, he only sells 150 of these. So 150 at £5, which is equal to 750. Adding them up, he therefore has £1,075 of sales he makes. So to get the profit he needs, he needs another 1,260, take away 1,075 to get the profit he needs. He needs this amount in order to get the profit he's requiring. Okay, so what is that? Well, that must be £185. If you take them two away from each other, you get £185. So he needs another £185 from the remaining 50 hats. So 50 hats he must sell for £185. So how much must he sell each hat for? So one hat must be sold for 185 divided by 50. 150 divided by 50 is 3, and 35 divided by 50 is 70p. So you must sell the rest for £3.70. So work out the reduced price of the hat. It must be £3.70. Okay, moving on. Question 4. The nth term of a sequence is this. Work out the first three terms. So the first term must be 1 squared subtract 4. 1 squared is 1, subtract 4 is -3. So the first one's -3. The second term is 2 squared subtract 4. 2 squared is 4. 4 take away 4 is 0. So the next one's 0. And the third term is 3 squared subtract 4. 3 squared is 9. 9 take away 4 is 5. So they are the first three terms. Here's a sequence. What's the formula for the nth term? The sequence, as you can see, is going up in 5s. So you know it's of the form 5n. If n was 1, to work out the first term, you're trying to work out the first term. 5 times 1 is 5. I don't want 5, I want 3, so I need to subtract 2. So that looks like it's the nth term. Let's just check it works for the second. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 take away 2 is 8. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 take away 2 is 13. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 take away 2 is 18. 5 times 5 is 25. Take away 2 is 23. So definitely the nth term is 5n subtract 2. Okay, question 5. Nice easy one here. 48 as a product of primes. Product means multiplication, remember. Give your answer in index form. Don't lose an easy mark by not writing it in index form. So, 48. Let's just write our primes down here. What are our primes? 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13. That should get us home. The smallest prime that goes into 48 is 2, so circle it. 48 divided by 2 is 24. The smallest prime that goes into 24, again, is 2. Circle it as a prime. And 24 divided by 2 is 12. The smallest prime that goes into 12 is 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. The smallest prime that goes into 6 is 2. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 is also prime, so we stop there. So 48 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Given your answer in index form, that's 2 to the power of 4 times 3. 2 to the power of 4 times 3. And you could even write 3 to the power of 1. Just check it works. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 3 is 48. Nice, easy 3-mark question. Okay, solve the following inequality. Remember, just think of that as an equal sign and do what you would normally do when balancing equations. There's a 7x's here, 2x's here, want all x's together, so subtract 2x off both sides. That would leave you with 5x is bigger than 10. Divide both sides by 5, you get x is bigger than 2. Your answer is x bigger than 2. Circle the diagram that represents n is bigger than or equal to 1 and less than 3. Well, just to show you, you could easily spot this, but I'm going to show you what each inequality is for some practice. Full circles, filled in circles, mean less than or equal to or bigger than or equal to. Open circles that aren't filled in mean a strict inequality. So n here is less than or equal to 3 and bigger than or equal to 1. Here, n is, again, less than or equal to, because it's full in circle, 3, but strictly bigger than 1 because it's an open circle. Here, n is less than but not equal to 3 and bigger than and not equal to 1. And this last one, n is less than but not equal to 3, so it's less than 3, or bigger than or equal to 1 because it's a full circle. Hence, circle the diagram. This one is the one the question is looking for. Okay, question 7. So Helga and Zara are goal shooters, and the following table shows how many goals they score to attempt. Helga, for every 24 she attempts, she scores 10, and Zara, for every 28 attempts, she scores 12. We want to work out who's got the better goal to attempt ratio. Now, there are quite a few ways of doing this. I will try and show you a few to show you all the different methods. The first, you could say that Helga, therefore, using that ratio, scores 10 out of 24 times. So what we want to do is we want to do 10 divided by, or actually, what we could do with this is we could say, well, if we divide both sides by 10, we could say that she scores 1 goal every 2.4 attempts. And similarly with Zara, let's do the same. She scores 12 goals out of every 28 attempts. So we could divide the top and bottom by 12, so she scores 1 goal every, well, what's 28 divided by 12? Well, 28 goes into 12 goes into 28 twice, and left over 4 out of 12, which is a third, so that is 2.3 recurring. So this says Helga scores a goal every 2.4 attempts, and Zoe scores a goal every 2.3 recurring attempts, so Zoe is better. So one way of saying it is Zoe is better via that method. Okay, let's have a go at another method of doing it. We could again say that Helga scores 10 out of 24, and we could try and work out what 10 divided by 24 actually is. Well, if you divide 10 by 24, what do you get? Well, does 10 go into 20? Does 24 go into 10? No. So put a decimal point in 0. Does 10 go into 100? Yes, it goes in 4 times, and 4 times 24. I put a few zeros there. 4 times 24 is actually equal to 96, so you've got left over 4. Does 24 go into 40? Yes, 1 time, and it's got left over 16. Does 24 go into 160? Well, it must go in 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. Well, we've got 0.41 so far for Helga. So let's go for Zara, and let's say that Zara is 12 divided by 28, so 12.0000 divided by 28. It doesn't go into 12, so put your decimal point down. does 28 go into 120? Well, if you did 28 times 5, what would you get? You'd get 140. If you did 28 times 4, what would you get? You'd get 112. So it does go in 4 times, left over 8. Then you ask yourself, does 4 go into 80? Or 28 go into 80? Well, yes, it does. It goes in 3 times. So again, here, Zara, that's saying that 12 divided by 28 is about 0.43, whereas Helga, 10 divided by 24 is about 0.41. So Zoe, again, must have the higher ratio. Okay, there are other ways of doing it. We said it was Zoe. There are other ways of doing it. 10 out of 24 for Helga, and Zara was 12 out of 28. You could try and make them have the same common denominator, and then compare which one, and then you can easily compare them. So you have to find out what 24 and 28 go into. Now, this could take you some time to work out the lowest common multiple of 24 and 28, but it is another option to make them out of 24 would be a good option. What else could you do? That's about it for now. You could actually, probably the best way is to do 10 divided by 24 and 12 divided by 28 like I did the last time. Work out their decimals and see which one is bigger. Question 8. Solve the following. Okay, 2 ways to do it. I'll show you. First is expand out the brackets, so you get 8w minus 12 is equal to 36. Add 12 to both sides, so you get 8w is equal to 48. Divide both sides by 8, and you get w is equal to 6. Or straight away, the first line, you could have divided both sides by 4, and you would get 2w minus 3 is equal to 36 divided by 4 is 9. Add 3 to both sides, so 2w is 12. Then divide both sides by 2, you get w is 6. Do check your answer is correct again. 2 times 6 is 12. 12 take away 3 is 9. 9 times 4 is 36. I got it right. Okay, solve the following. What I would do to remove the 3 on the denominator, I would multiply both sides by 3. That would leave me with the numerator on the left is equal to 3 times the whole right hand side, 3 times 5 minus x. Expand brackets, so you've got 12 subtract x is equal to 15 subtract 3x. Okay, we want all the x's together, so I'm just going to, at this point, add 3x to both sides. So 12 minus x plus 3x would give me 12 plus 2x is equal to 15. Then I'm going to subtract 12 off both sides, so 2x is equal to 3. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 2. I'm going to get x is equal to 1.5. Again, check whether your answer works here. 5 take away 1.5 is 3.5. 12 take away 1.5 is 10.5. And 10.5 divided by 3 is 3.5. So I've got the right answer. There are 2 ways to do this, I would say. The first is to use a table, XY table, for the values of x, minus 1, 0, 1 and 2, and then to work out what the y would be when you choose x to be each of those values. If x was minus 1, 2 times minus 1 is minus 2, minus 3, minus another 1 gives you minus 3. X is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, 0 minus 1 is negative 1. 2 times 1 is 2, 2 take away 1 is 1, and 2 times 2 is 4, 4 take away 1 is 3. And you could plot those coordinates, so you would plot minus 1, let's just label these axes first, 1, 2, 3, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. You would plot minus 1 against minus 3, 0 against minus 1, 1 against 1, and 2 against 3. The other way of doing it is to remember your form of an equation, y equals mx plus c. C is -1, so it crosses the y-axis at -1. And as you go across 1, you must go up 2. Across 1, up 2. Don't forget to put your line in at the end, like that. Hence your equation of the line you have drawn and made into a graph. Okay, it then says to you, a line L is parallel to y equals 2x minus 1 and passes through 0, 3. Write the equation of the line. Okay, very straightforward. I'm just going to show you graphically first. If it's parallel, then it's got the same gradient. So it's like that, and it goes through 0, 3, so 0 across, 3 up. It will end up looking something like that. What is the equation of a line like that? Well, remember, y equals mx plus c. If it's parallel, that means it's got the same gradient, so it's of the form y equals 2x, and it crosses at 0, 3, so the c is 3, so plus 3 must be your answer, and it would look something like that. Question 10. Here are two numbers. Which is larger? Well, 2 to the minus 3 means 1 over 2 to the positive 3, which is 1 over 8. You should know the decimal of 1 over 8 is 0.125. How could I get there? Well, you know a quarter is 0.25, so an eighth is a half of that, which is 0.125. Okay, 1.5 times 10 to the minus 1, standard form there. The minus 1 tells us there's 1 0, then you put your decimal point at 1.5. So that is equal to that, that is equal to that. Which one is larger? Well, 1.5 times 10 to the minus 1 is therefore larger. Okay, question 11. Factorise fully 3y squared and 6y. Okay, what is the highest common factor of 3y squared and 6y? Or what divides into 3y squared and 6y? Well, certainly 3 does. So you divide out by 3, and also a y does. 3y squared divided by 3y is y, and 6y divided by 3y is 2. The answer, 3y multiplied by y plus 2. Expand out to check it works. Okay, factorise fully the following. There's a long way, but it's methodical and it's easy to follow. And there's a quick way, which is slightly more tricky and relies a bit more practice. The long way, and it always works. The first thing I said is because the number in front of the squared term here is not 1, it's 3, you multiply 3 by 14. So step 1, you do 3 multiplied by 14, and you get the answer 42. Step 2, you ask yourself, well, what multiplies to this number I've just times out and adds at the same time to the number in front of y, 13. With a little thought, you'll come up with 6 and 7, because 6 times 7 is 42 and 6 plus 7 is 13. So you can factorise that. Because it's 3y squared, in each bracket goes 3y. You put plus 6 and plus 7, but you simplify where you can. This can be divided by 3 and would leave you with y plus 2, 3y plus 7. So there is a factorised version. Y plus 2, 3y plus 7. The quicker way is just because you know, because 3 is prime, you know that there must be a 3y in one bracket and a y in another bracket. And you're looking for combinations of numbers here that times up to 14. But at the same time, these two numbers, when you multiply 3 by that number and 1 by that number, you get 13. So what must work here is a 7 here and a 2 here, because 7 times 2 gives you your 14, and 3 times 2 gives you 6y, and 7 times y gives you 7y. That gives you a 13. It then says, hence solve this. Well, you've just factorised that, so you know that y plus 2, 3y plus 7 equals 0. So y must be minus 2, or y must be negative 7 over 3. How do I get those? Well, if y plus 2 is 0, subtract 2 off both sides to get y is minus 2. And similarly, if 3y plus 7 is 0, 3y is minus 7, and y is minus 7 over 3. So your answers are y equals minus 2 and y is minus 7 divided by 3. Okay, question 12. So we've got two simultaneous equations, equations 1 and equation 2, and they're linear because a and b are just to the power of 1. There's no a squareds or b squareds. So we've got two linear equations. What we're going to try and do to solve these is make the coefficients of a the same to start with. So 3 and 2 go into 6. So if I multiply that top one by 2 and multiply that bottom one by 3, remember I'm multiplying everything by 2 in the top and everything by 3 in the bottom, I get the following. The first equation becomes 6a plus 10b is equal to 4, and I'm going to call that equation 3. And the next one, I'd get 6a subtract 9b is equal to 14 times 3, which is equal to 42. And I'm going to call that equation 4. Now, I've got equation 3 and 4. I'm going to subtract them so that I remove the a's from the equation. So I'm going to do equation 3 subtract equation 4. 6a subtract 6a is nothing. 10b subtract minus 9 is 10b. 9b is 10b plus 9b, which is 19b. And 4 subtract 42. 4 take away 42 is actually minus 38. So what's b? Well, if I divide both sides by 19, I get b is minus 38 divided by 19, so b is negative 2. I'm not finished yet. I've obviously got to go and find a, so I use this b is minus 2 and I substitute into any of the equations above. Let's do in equation 1, let's say. I'll get 3a, 5 times b, 5 times minus 2 is minus 10, is equal to 2. Add 10 to both sides, I get 3a is 12. Divide both sides by 3, I get a is equal to 4. So my answers are a is 4, b is negative 2. Do check both these solutions work. 3 times 4 is 12, 5 times minus 2 is minus 10, 12 take 10 is 2, 2 times 4 is 8, minus 3 times minus 2 is 6, 8 plus 6 is 14. I've got it. Okay, simplify fully. 17 divided by 2a plus 5 divided by 2a. So 17 2/8 plus 5 2/8 is simply 22 2 over a, but you can simplify this because 2 divides into the top and bottom, so that simplifies to 11 over a. Okay, simplify fully the following. Just before I do that, I'm going to just factorize everything where possible. Nothing goes into x and 4 and nothing goes into 5 because it's a prime. However, divided by 2x plus 8, 2 can be factorized out of this, giving me x plus 4 over 3. So this is actually equal to this. All I've done is factorize this top expression. Now dividing fractions, you keep the first fraction the same, you change the divide to a times and you flip the second fraction. So you get the following. Now notice there is an x plus 4, well, let's times them out. 3 times x plus 4, I'm just going to for now write that as 3x plus 4. And 5 times 2x plus 4, I'm going to write that as 10x plus 4. Now at this stage notice there's an x plus 4 multiplying on top and bottom, so they cancel, and you're left with 3/10. Question 14. This expression here is equal to k where k is an integer. Work out k. Okay, each bit separately. Let's do 36 to the 0.5, i.e. 36 to the half, which means by definition the square root of 36, which is 6. Okay, now let's feed this into the question above. We've therefore got 36 to the half is 6, or 6 to the power of 1 here. So this here is 6 to the power of 1 times 6 to the power of 4, all divided by 36. Well, 36 is actually 6 to the power of 2. When you're multiplying and the base numbers are the same, add the powers. So this is 6 to the power of 5 divided by 6 to the power of 2, which is 6 to the 5 take away 2, which is 6 to the 3. So what is 6 times 6 times 6? Well, that is 216. So K is equal to 216. Question 15a. Simplify the following. The square root of 32 divided by the square root of 8 can be firstly written as the square root of 32 divided by 8, which is the square root of, or 32 divided by 8 is 4, and the square root of 4 is 2. So the answer is 2. Expand and simplify fully the following. So we've got 2 minus root 3 squared. Well, we know that means 2 minus root 3 multiplied by 2 minus root 3. So we've got double brackets here with two things in them. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times negative root 3 is minus 2 root 3. Minus root 3 times 2 is another minus 2 root 3. And minus root 3 times minus root 3 is plus root 9. Tidying up, well, root 9 is 3. So 4 plus 3 is 7. Minus 2 root 3 minus another 2 root 3 is minus 4 root 3. So the simplified answer is 7 subtract 4 root 3. Okay, question 16 and the last question. Here is an identity. How do you know? 3 lines mean identity. A and B are 2 numbers. Work out B. I said, and we've seen 3 of these so far before, easiest thing to do is to multiply out the left hand side and the right hand side and compare coefficients to work out what A's and B's should be. So the left hand side first. Multiply out 2x plus A and x plus 3. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 3 is 6x. A times x is plus ax. And A times 3 is plus 3a. Just tidying up there, that's 2x squared. Factorise out the x. We've got x, 6 plus a, and then we've got plus 3a. That's expanded out and tidied up. Well, let's just have a look at the right hand side. I'm going to do that in a different colour just so we can compare. The right hand side is already expanded out, and you've got 2x squared plus 4ax plus b. Now for the left hand side, to equal or be identical to the right hand side, the numbers in front of the x squared, the coefficient of x squared has got to be the same. They are. The coefficient of x, this and this, must be the same. And lastly, the number term, this and this, must be the same. So from that we can deduce that from the left hand side, 6 plus a must equal 4a, and similarly 3a must equal b. Okay, well, here's one equation. I can subtract a of both sides to tidy up. 6 must equal 3a, and dividing by 3, a must equal 2. So a is 2. Well, what's b? B is 3 times 2, which is 6. So work out b. B is equal to 6. Thank you for listening to the video, and I hope you found this useful in your revision.